The Gambia government reiterates its commitment to eliminate the use of plastic bags by end of 2020. Tertiary institutions are set to resume classes in Rwanda after 7 months of closure. Antonio Guterres says the world was not prepared for the devastating impact of the coronavirus pandemic. These and more coming up on The World Today. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is The World Today with me, Sahna Tunkara, and now a look at our main stories. Gambia's Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure has said that the government, through the Ministry of Environment, is devising means to ensure compliance and the elimination of the use of plastic bags by December 2020. Ibrahim Silla was speaking on Friday during his regular weekly press briefing on various government ministries. Julden Jaiswari has the rest of that story.
In April 2015, the Gambia government banned the importation and use of plastic bags in the country. The ban was in force and in full implementation from July of that year. However, after the fall of Yahya Jammeh, the Barrow-led administration relaxed the enforcement of the regulations, allowing for a float in all kinds of plastic bag and plastic bag products, especially from Senegal. That West African country too has laws banning plastic bags the same time and year as the Gambia, but had a very weak implementation process. Now, the Gambia government said it was ready to reinforce the ban on the importation of plastic bags. On Friday, the Minister of Information, Ibrahim Silla, told a weekly press briefing on various government ministries that the process will start with a nationwide sensitization.
This first strategy by the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Environment to eliminate the use of plastic bags in the Gambia is anchored on a rigorous countrywide sensitization and awareness-raising campaign to be implemented by the National Environment Agency NEA through the utilization of both the print and electronic media. The second strategy is to ensure the enforcement of the law by riding on the anti-littering bill.
Information Minister Silla said the government is devising means to ensure compliance and the elimination of the use of plastic bags by December. Minister Silla said the Ministry of Environment plans to enhance the recycling of plastic waste by encouraging private sector investment to venture into recycling of waste products like mats and others. Speaking on agriculture, Minister Silla stated that the government plans to increase this year's groundnut prices by 12%, an addition of $2,160 on top of the $18,000 per ton price last year.
Apparently, the crops in most parts of the country are expected to reach harvestable maturity for farmers to reap near bumper harvest this year. The Ministry of Agriculture's pre-projection analysis has indicated conservatively that there will be approximately 82,119 metric tons of groundnuts produced in the Gambia by farmers this year. Meanwhile, as part of efforts to incentivize the farming sector, His Excellency the President of the Republic, Adama Barrow, has promised that groundnut prices will be increased by 12% this year.
The outlook for the 2020 cropping season in the Gambia has indicated a mild increase in terms of production of groundnut, mainly due to the favorable rains, according to the Ministry of Agriculture. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Jaisware.
From the report by Juldenjai Sware, the Gambia government is planning on stopping the use of plastic bag by December 2020. Now, after 7 months of closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Rwandan universities are set to resume classes. Authorities have outlined safety measures to avoid both students and lecturers contracting the virus. Students have expressed delight for the opportunity of returning to school, but they have been warned against compliances. Details in this report.
It has now been 7 months since any school was open in Rwanda because of COVID-19, and university students say they are happy to be going back to their studies. 7 months now, we have endured this pandemic, and we understand the importance of protecting ourselves, washing our hands often, practicing social distancing, and other measures. We must do all that to avoid the other consequences that may arise because of this pandemic. University administrators say everything is ready for them to resume classes during this month of October. Those first students that are to return have been informed of the way they are to study in shifts, and their group leaders were sent messages detailing the timetable. ELK has sufficient lecture rooms to ensure that this is done, and preparations have been going well with no problems. There is also the matter of cleanliness. Even though such measures have always been enforced, now they will be ramped up, such as in the school cafeteria, where tables will be cleaned immediately after a group of students has used them. There are other similar initiatives that will also be enforced. The use of technology will also be emphasized as a way of limiting contact between students and their lecturers. Students who fail to respect COVID-19 measures on campus will face penalties that could include expulsion. The Ministry of Education says students in their final year in different sections will be allowed to return first so that they can complete their studies and make room for others.
Students in Rwanda finally going back to school to have their lectures on campus. Now, the Gambia's Minister for Health has said that part of the $500 million in government funding for the health sector and financial support from the World Bank has been used to purchase medical equipment. Minister Samata made the remarks on Friday at the Central Medical Store in Kotu during the handing over of the medical items. Here is an insert.
So these items were procured from funds we got from the World Bank and the Gambia government. From the World Bank, the expenditure is $1,558,580.87 US dollars, which is about 77,929,043.50 bututs. That's from the World Bank. From the Gambia government funds, 1,929,875 US dollars. That amounts to 96,493,750 dollars. That's the amount that is spent on these items. So for the much talked about COVID-19, 500 millions. So you see where part of it is gone. 96,493,750 dollars is spent on this equipment. So you know where this amount has gone to.
That was the Minister of Health speaking during the handing over of medical equipment. Now, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that the world was not prepared for the COVID-19 pandemic, which for the past 9 months has infected more than 30 million people in 190 countries and territories, and infections are still rising. The United Nations chief was speaking on Wednesday at the launch of the COVID-19 and Universal Health Coverage Policy. He noted that one of the lessons from the crisis is that underinvestment in health can have a devastating impact on societies and economies. More of that in this report.
Ahead of WHO's October 10th big event for mental health, in which world leaders, celebrities and advocates are to take part, a new survey revealed that the coronavirus pandemic has led to a significant interruption on mental health services in 93 countries globally. The reason is that states focus fully in eliminating the novel virus while neglecting psychological disorders. the World Health Body said its report. During an online media briefing on Thursday, the WHO Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Moiti, said mental health care needs to be promoted as the availability of services are very limited.
So the need for mental health care is really significant. And although many countries have developed national mental health policies, the availability of service is often limited to specialized institutions in capital cities. So access is a real challenge.
Even before the pandemic, there was a chronic underfunding of mental health by governments of the world, according to WHO. Countries were spending less than 2% of their national health budgets on mental health and struggling to meet their population's needs. In Zambia, for example, most mental health patients are not given the much-needed attention due to COVID-19. The psychiatrist, registrar, and co-founder of COVID-19 Zambia Wellbeing and Mental Health Alliance, Dr. Naib Dalal, said mental health service has been limited.
Barriers to mental health care access in my practice have been: 1, because of the preventive public health measures, people initially were not allowed to come to the hospital and outpatient clinics were suspended. Number 2, mental health staff were redeployed to offer COVID-19 emergency care. Telehealth, very difficult due to digital poverty. Stigma and fear of coming to the hospital because of COVID-19.
The survey was conducted from June to August 2020 among 130 countries across, revealed that the pandemic is increasing demand for mental health services. A good number of countries surveyed reported disruptions to access for medication for mental health, neurological and substance use disorders. Bereavement, isolation, loss of income and fear are triggering mental health conditions or aggravating existing ones, according to the WHO. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
We apologize for that wrong report. Now we'll take a short commercial break and continue with the rest of our stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching The World Today with me, Sahna Tunkara. Now to the rest of our stories. A young Ugandan entrepreneur is using his business to inspire the young people and refugees to entrepreneurial skills. He initiated a plastic waste recycling program that supported many young people to transform their well-being and become more responsible in society. The new initiative has inspired many young people to venture into entrepreneurship that has cut the unemployment rate. More in this report.
David Mande recycles plastic waste. He's the founder of Upcycle Africa Limited, an initiative started at the Social Innovation Academy. It empowers refugees and locals with entrepreneurial skills.
For us at Upcycle, we say waste is a resource. So we are trying to change the mindset of the people on how they can transform this waste into products of inherent values.
Among the beneficiaries is Benjamin Abunuasi, a Congolese refugee.
Tina has supported me to discover my passion, my purpose. I've uncovered my talent and now falling in love with social entrepreneurship. It has become my inspiration.
Abunuasi came to Uganda in 2017 and was resettled at Rwamwanja refugee settlement in western Uganda. He's now learning vocational skills that could help him become self-reliant. With this skill of building using plastic bottles, Abunuase says he's now able to mentor fellow refugees back home. Most of the houses here have been built out of recycled plastics. The project is inspiring young people to come up with new ideas.
And has especially sparked also the creativity of our scholars, because they realize that you don't need much money to start a business, but actually what you need is resources. And many resources like plastic bottles are all around us for free.
Joan Nalwega is making mosquito repellent soap. It's made out of essential oils extracted from lemongrass, a natural repellent that is helping to keep the community safe from malaria.
Their families, when, for example, if they used to visit the hospital for malaria, like 4 times in a month or 4 times in 2 months, you find that they have visited the hospital 2 times in like 5 months. So that is impact that we have created.
The feedback is positive.
Since I started bathing my child with this soap, she doesn't suffer from malaria. Mosquitoes cannot bite her. They are kept away by the scent.
A recent World Bank Group report shows that while about 700,000 young people reach working age every year in Uganda, only 75,000 jobs are created each year, leaving thousands unemployed. More than 13% of young Ugandans are unemployed, a situation exacerbated by the spread of the coronavirus and the recent lockdown. Proprietors of the Social Innovation Academy now believe that empowering young people to create their own jobs could help reduce soaring unemployment in the country.
Entrepreneur using business to inspire refugees in Uganda. Now from that we head to Mali, because following the August coup d'etat in Mali that disposed the former president and the establishment of an interim government in this month, the special representative of the UN Secretary General for Mali said on Thursday that a breakthrough has been achieved. Desisi has more.
Mali's military junta deposed President Ibrahim Keita on August 18th. Then, after mounting pressure from ECOWAS and other sub-regional blocs, formed a new government in October. The process leading to the formation of an 18-month transitional government led by a civilian has been hailed as a breakthrough that is full of symbols and meaning by the special representative of the UN Secretary General for Mali, Mohamed Saleh Anadiv.
Il me plaît à ce niveau de relever devant votre Conseil.
At this time, I'd like to point out to the Council that it is for the first time since the signing of the agreement in June 2015 that the signatory movement have made their official entry into a government of the Republic of Mali. This breakthrough is full of symbols and meaning. The organization of credible elections that can lead to a return to constitutional order depends on political, institutional, electoral, administrative reforms as set out in the Transition Charter.
Mohamed was speaking at the first formal meeting held in the Security Council chamber since the outbreak of COVID-19. In that same event, the permanent representative of Mali to the United Nations, Issa Komfuru, assured that the national authority of the transition will remain determined and respect national commitments.
Le contexte qui prévaut au Mali, il me semble très important de rassurer encore une fois.
In the prevailing context in Mali, it seemed to me very important to reassure once again all of our partners that our national authorities remain determined to respect all the national and international commitments to which Mali has fully subscribed, in accordance with the principle of continuity of the state. In this regard, I would like here, and without any ambiguity, to reiterate the determination of authorities of the transition to continue relentlessly the diligent implementation of the Agreement for Peace and Reconciliation in Mali.
President Keita's removal 2 months ago came at the back of national protest over insecurity, corruption, and floundering economy. 11 people had died and 124 others injured during the protest that intensified in June, according to reports. Keita was then abducted and forced to resign on state television. Bandau, a retired army colonel, is now the interim president. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Despite the economic challenges brought about by the fall in oil price and COVID-19, Nigerian president has outlined an ambitious budget for his government in 2021. The West African nation revenue dropped at an estimated 60% thanks to the global crisis, and the 2021 budget is in deficit, with half of money coming from outside. However, an analyst has raised eyebrows over the presented budget, saying the government needs to be realistic. Details in this report.
It's an ambitious budget and comes at a time when Nigeria's revenue has dropped by an estimated 60% as a result of the fall in oil prices and the headwinds from the COVID-19 pandemic. And the president did not try to play down on the difficult road ahead while presenting the budget before a packed House of Parliament.
The Nigerian economy is currently facing serious challenges, with the macroeconomic environment being significantly disrupted by the coronavirus pandemic. GDP growth is projected to be negative in the third quarter of this year. As such, our economy may lapse into the second recession in 4 years, with significant adverse consequences.
Like that of 2020, the 2021 budget is a deficit one, as almost half of the funding would have to come from borrowing.
2021 budget deficit, inclusive of government-owned enterprises and projected loans, is projected at 5.2 trillion naira. This represents 3.64% of estimated GDP, slightly above the 3% threshold set by the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007.
Other key highlights of the budget pegs the benchmark oil price at $40 per barrel and crude production, including condensate, at 1.18 million barrels per day. The exchange rate is fixed at 379 naira to the dollar, while GDP growth rate is projected at 3% and inflation rate at 11.95%. But analysts fear the budget may not be realistic.
I think that budget is overly optimistic. Beyond the revenue from oil, the major revenues will be coming from other sources of other independent sources, which I think will be difficult to achieve. Revenues from customs, revenues from Nigerian Post Authorities, and government enterprises. I do not think the economy would have sufficiently recovered as to lead to achievement of the budget provisions. The government needs to be more realistic in its projections, and if it does that, it will also help us to review our approach to managing our public finance or building infrastructure.
The lawmakers are now expected to begin serious work on the budget before the final document will be returned to the president for his assent. So there's still every likelihood some of the parameters of the budget may be adjusted before the final document is ready.
That was all from me on the world today. Gambia 24 is up next with Mariama Cham. Until then, bye for now.